shaped. When prayers pierce the unseen world with unusual force. When secrets are whispered to the souls that are willing to listen. The enemy of your soul also knows this. That is why he disturbs you in the night. He knows that if you ever discover the power of these hours, your life will change. He knows that if you ever learn to rise and bow before God at 3 a.m., you will no longer be an ordinary person stumbling through life, but a vessel of power, a carrier of light, warrior who cannot be defeated. That is why he tries to keep you asleep. That is why he sends distractions. That is why when you wake at this hour, you are tempted to scroll through your phone, to turn on the television, to do anything except bow before the one who summoned you. But I tell you this with conviction. If you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., do not waste it. Do not turn to meaningless things. Do not let slumber drag you back down. Rise up, wash your face, straighten your body, and recognize that God has knocked upon the door of your heart. He has whispered your name in the silence. He has chosen that moment to separate you from the multitude, to test whether you will respond. Do you not understand the weight of that call? The creator of the universe, the one who shaped the galaxies, who stretched out the stars, who governs the tides of the sea and the breath in your lungs, has chosen to awaken you. Not at noon when the world is noisy, not in the afternoon when you are busy with endless tasks. No, he wakes you at the quiet hour when no one sees, when no one applauds, when the world is asleep, because that is the hour of intimacy. That is the hour of revelation. That is the hour when God measures the depth of your hunger for him. At 3 a.m., the voices of men are silent, but the voice of eternity grows louder. At 4 a.m., the cities rest, but the courts of heaven are alive. At 5 a.m., while most of the earth still slumbers, God is searching for those who will rise, who will kneel, who will call upon him with undivided focus. The most dangerous thing you can do is to turn over and sleep again. Because when you sleep, you forfeit what could have been your breakthrough. When you sleep, you close your ears to the message that was meant for you. When you sleep, you waste the divine appointment scheduled for your life. There are mysteries that will never be revealed in the noise of the day, but only in the silence of the dawn. There are blessings that will never be handed to you in the crowd, but only when you stand alone before God in the darkness. There are battles that will never be won in the sunlight, but must be fought on your knees at 3 a.m. You wonder why some chains remain unbroken, why some doors remain locked, why some enemies still pursue you relentlessly. It is because you have not risen to meet God when he has called you. If you rise at that hour, do not complain. Do not speak of your worries. Do not waste words on ordinary requests. Bow deeply, Call upon God with faith. Ask Him to reveal what the enemy is planning against you. Ask Him to cover your children, your family, your work, your mind, and your heart. Ask Him to strengthen you for the battles yet unseen. When you pray at 3 a.m., your words are not like the words of the day. They are sharper, heavier, more powerful, because they are forged in the silence of sacrifice. God is closer than you think in those hours. He bends down to hear the whisper of those who dare to rise. He marks their names. He sets them apart. He clothes them with the strength unseen by others. People may look at you and wonder why your life is protected, why doors open for you, why storms do not drown you. They do not know that at 3 a.m. you are bowed before the throne of God. They do not know that at 4 a.m., when others chase dreams in their beds, you chase the presence of the eternal. Do not despise this holy interruption of your sleep. It is not a punishment, it is an invitation. It is not a burden, it is an honor. For God only awakens those He trusts. He only disturbs those He desires to draw near. If you have been waking at this hour, you are not cursed. You are chosen. You are not being harassed. You are being summoned. Respond with faith, and you will see what others never see. Respond with obedience, and you will walk in dimensions others never touch. The enemy will tell you, go back to sleep. Your body will plead, just one more hour, but your spirit must answer. God has called me, and I will rise. Each time you obey, each time you kneel, each time you pour out your heart in those hours, you are writing a story in heaven. You are establishing victories in realms unseen. You are shaping your destiny and the destiny of generations after you. When you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., you must understand that this is not just about you. It is about eternity moving through your life. These hours carry a weight that most ignore. But those who recognize them, those who respond to them, become vessels of transformation. God calls you at that hour, not only to bless you, but to shape the future, to turn the course of events, to intervene in battles that are raging in silence. Do you know why God often chooses to awaken you in that specific window of time? Because the distractions of the world are minimized. The noise of men has ceased. The chatter of society is quiet. It is in this stillness that the voice of God is most clear. When the day begins, you are quickly surrounded by duties, responsibilities, conversations, and noise. But at 3 a.m., you are stripped of all those layers, left bare before your Creator. That is when God can reach into the deepest part of your being and whisper things you could never hear in the rush of the day. This is the time when your heart is most vulnerable, when the spirit world is most active, when unseen battles rage fiercely. The enemy prowls in the dark, searching for souls to weaken, but God calls his own to rise and push back with prayer. Do not underestimate the warfare of the night. When you feel an unusual heaviness, when your mind feels troubled, when your body tosses and turns in restlessness, it is because forces you cannot see are moving. The ordinary man sleeps through it, but the one awakened by God rises and confronts it. That is why rising at this hour is not simply spiritual discipline. It is survival. It is warfare. It is destiny. When you bow in those hours, your words echo in eternity. Do not rush. Do not stumble over empty phrases. Speak with clarity. Speak with conviction. Speak with hunger. Tell God that you are awake because you know He has awakened you. Tell Him you desire His guidance, His protection, His wisdom. Ask Him to expose the traps set before your feet. Ask Him to silence the whispers of doubt that the enemy plants. Ask Him to renew your strength so that you can walk in purpose and not drift like the masses. Think of how powerful it is. While millions lie in sleep, their minds lost in dreams, you are awake, alert, and standing in the courts of heaven. You are not just one person whispering in the dark. You are aligning yourself with the Creator who governs everything. When you kneel, you are not small. You are mighty because you are connected to the source of all power. This is why those who rise at 3 a.m. do not live like others. They carry a presence, a strength, a light that others cannot explain. Their enemies fall before them. Their fears cannot conquer them. Their storms cannot drown them. But let me tell you something deeper. Rising at 3 a.m. is not only about asking, it is about listening. Too many think prayer is a monologue where we pour out words and then leave. No, prayer is a dialogue. When you rise in the silence of dawn, speak yes, but then wait. Be still. Open your heart. God may not shout, but He will speak. Sometimes it will come as a thought that pierces through confusion. Sometimes it will be a sudden peace that calms your restless mind. Sometimes it will be a conviction, a strong inner pull directing you to act or warning you to wait. These whispers are priceless. They are the difference between life and death, between victory and defeat. If you rise at 3 a.m., you are choosing intimacy over comfort. You are telling God, I want you more than sleep. Do you think God ignores that sacrifice? No, He treasures it. He records it. He rewards it. While others chase after blessings with desperate hands, the one who rises early finds blessings chasing him. Doors open where they should be locked. Opportunities come that cannot be explained. Protection surrounds him like a shield. Why? Because at 3 a.m., he gave God his heart. There are levels of favor you cannot unlock without the discipline of rising early. There are secrets of the Spirit you will never know until you kneel in the night. There are enemies you will never defeat until you stand at that hour. Some blessings are costly. They demand the sacrifice of your sleep, the bending of your knees, the lifting of your hands when the world is resting. Do not run from this cost. Embrace it, for the reward is greater than the pain. Look at the world. So many chase power, money, recognition, and yet they are empty. They sleep through the night and rise with weary hearts. But those who give God the first moments of the morning rise with light, rise with clarity, rise with authority. They may not have the world's applause, but they carry heaven's approval. And that approval is worth more than gold. This is not just for saints, prophets, or holy men. This is for you. Do not disqualify yourself by saying you are too weak, too ordinary, too sinful. If God is waking you, it means He has already chosen you. He sees something in you that others may never see. Do not waste the invitation. Do not bury the calling under excuses. Rise, even if your prayer feels weak. Rise, even if your words are few. Rise, even if your heart feels heavy. Rise. God is not measuring the eloquence of your speech. He is measuring the surrender of your heart. The more you rise, the stronger you become. At first, your body will resist. Your mind will wander. But as you persist, you will notice a shift. You will feel lighter, clearer, stronger. You will begin to crave that hour, not dread it. You will begin to see answers unfold in your life with unusual speed. You will begin to sense danger before it comes. You will begin to walk in an authority that even your enemies cannot deny. Yes, 3 a.m. is not easy, but it is in difficulty that power is born. Sleep is sweet, but destiny is sweeter. Comfort is tempting, but victory is greater. If you want to live like the masses, sleep like the masses. But if you want to walk with God in ways that separate you, rise when He calls. When the hand of God stirs you awake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is not only about prayer, it is about alignment. It is about God reshaping your destiny while the world still sleeps. At that hour, heaven's agenda is moving, and God is asking, will you participate or will you miss it? To rise is to say, God, I want to move with you. I want my life to flow with your rhythm, not with the rhythm of the crowd. That moment is not simply a call to whisper words. It is a call to step into the current of divine purpose. Consider this truth. Every great transformation in history begins in silence, hidden away from the eyes of men. Seeds break the soil in silence. Rivers carve their paths in silence, their heartbeats in silence. And so too does destiny unfold in silence. When God calls you in the early hours, He is inviting you into that sacred silence to shape something in you that cannot be built in the noise. If you ignore that call, you may still live, but you will live shallow. If you respond, you will live deep, with roots planted in places others cannot reach. These hours are a test of what you value most. Do you value the temporary comfort of your bed, or do you value the eternal presence of God? Do you cling to your dreams in sleep, or do you rise to pursue the greater dream that God has for you? Many say they want power, but they refuse the discipline that births it. Many say they want to hear from God, but they ignore the hour He speaks. If you truly long for God, prove it by rising when He calls. When you stand in the quiet of dawn, you are not just standing for yourself. You are standing for your household, for your children, for your city, for your generation. At that hour, you have the power to intercept what the enemy planned for your family. You have the authority to cancel disasters before they manifest. You have the ability to declare blessings that will flow into the future. Do not think of your prayer as small. When it is directed to God, even a whisper becomes thunder in the heavens. Let me tell you this. Every time you respond to God in the early hours, you are building a fortress around your life. You may not see it immediately. Walls of protection are rising. While others walk uncovered, you walk shielded. While others wonder why their lives collapse under pressure, you stand unshaken. Not because you are stronger in yourself, but because you chose to kneel when it mattered most. And do not think that these hours are only about defense. They are about vision. At 3 a.m., God does not only protect, He reveals. This is the hour when ideas are birthed, when clarity comes, when direction is given. Some of the greatest decisions you will ever make are not decided in boardrooms or through advice from friends. They are birthed in the secret conversations between your spirit and God in the stillness of the night. If you rise faithfully, you will discover that God gives you strategies, insights, and understanding that far surpass the wisdom of men. But you must come with humility. You must come stripped of pride. In those hours, you cannot impress God with long speeches or polished words. You can only come as you are, weak, vulnerable, open. That is what He desires. God does not despise weakness. He despises indifference. If you are trembling but present, He will honor you. If you are weary but willing, He will strengthen you. What matters is not how strong you are when you rise, but how surrendered you are when you kneel. Now hear this truth. When you make it a habit to rise at 3 a.m., you become dangerous to the enemy. He cannot predict you. He cannot bind you. He cannot trap you easily. Because while others sleep through the snares, you are awake, breaking them before they tighten. The enemy fears a person who rises in the night to meet God. He knows such a person is not ordinary. They are an instrument of heaven on earth. That is why he fights you with laziness, with distraction, with heaviness. But if you push through, if you train your spirit, you will walk in a dimension of freedom that others cannot comprehend. These hours are also about intimacy. Do you realize how personal it is that God chooses to meet you? While the world is absent when you rise, it is not a performance, not a show. It is you and God alone. It is the purest form of devotion, stripped of applause and recognition. And God treasures it. He sees it. He responds to it. Others may never know the sacrifices you make in the quiet of dawn, but God will never forget them. Let me also tell you this. What you do in these hours determines what happens in your day. If you rise early, align yourself with God, and seek His face, the rest of your day will flow with order and strength. You will walk with clarity, with patience, with wisdom that others lack. But if you sleep through the core, you may find yourself chasing the day restless, scattered, vulnerable to attack. These hours are the foundation. A house without a strong foundation cannot stand. A life without the foundation of prayer in the early hours cannot withstand storms. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Do not say, I will rise when I am less busy, when I am stronger, when I am older. The call is now. God does not summon you at 3 a.m. because your life is perfect. He summons you because your life needs Him. Respond today, and the future will respond to you. Even the smallest effort counts. If all you can do is whisper His name, whisper it. If all you can do is sit in silence, sit. If all you can do is weep, then weep before Him. God is not measuring the volume of your words, but the sincerity of your heart. He sees beyond the action to the motive, beyond the appearance to the essence. And if you rise with a heart that truly longs for Him, He will pour into you what you cannot imagine. Yes, you may be mocked. People may laugh and say, why disturb your sleep? Why waste your time in the dark? But let them mock. They will see the fruit. They will see your peace when storms rage. They will see your strength when others collapse. They will see your light in times of darkness. And they will know that you carry something they do not. That something is not luck. Do you feel the weight of those words? This is not the voice of weakness. It is the voice of authority. When you pray this psalm, you are no longer standing alone. You are calling upon God, the Lord of hosts, to arise as your defender. The arrows that were meant to pierce your soul return immediately, because no hand can strike what God shields. The very forces that seek to destroy you are swallowed by the judgment of the Almighty. Speak this psalm not as a timid request, but as a divine command, and you will watch as the battle shifts in your favor. Then turn your spirit to Psalm 91, a fortress for every soul under attack. Surely He will save you from the father's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, the arrow that flies by day. Did you hear that? God already knew the enemy would launch arrows against His children, but He also provided the covering that makes them powerless. When you stand under God's wings, arrows may be shot, but none can pierce you. They are deflected, redirected, and music returned. Psalm 91 does not promise a life free of attack. It promises victory in every attack. It declares that though arrows may come, they will never accomplish their purpose. This is why the one who dwells in God's presence walks in unshakable confidence. For the arrows of the enemy cannot destroy a soul that rests under the shadow of the Almighty. Do not forget the cry of Psalm 64. Hear me, my God, as I voice my complaint. Protect my life from the threat of the enemy. Hide me from the conspiracy of the wicked, from the plots of evildoers. They sharpen their tongues like swords and aim cruel words like deadly arrows. But God will shoot them with his arrows. They will suddenly be struck down. Oh, how powerful this is. The enemy sharpens his arrows of lies, gossip, slander, and betrayal. Perhaps people have spoken words against you that pierced your heart. Perhaps accusations, insults, or betrayals have felt like daggers to your soul. But when you invoke this storm, the arrows of the wicked are reversed. God himself releases his arrows in response. Arrows of judgment and justice. Those who sought to destroy you with words fall by their own weapons. The arrows fired at you return multiplied, striking the very ones who devised them. And then comes Psalm 7, a psalm of divine reversal. Let the evil of the wicked come to an end, but establish the righteous. He who digs a hole and scoops it out falls into the pit they have made. The trouble they cause recoils on them. Their violence comes down on their own heads. Do you understand the mystery here? Every arrow fired at you carries within it the music seed of its own destruction. When evil rises against you, it plants the very trap into which it will fall. When arrows of destruction are sent toward your life, God in his justice bends them back until they strike the archer. This is divine laws. What is meant for harm rebounds into ruin, and what was designed to destroy you becomes the very testimony of music, God's deliverance in your life. Play Psalm 7 is the assurance that the wicked cannot escape music, the consequences of their own plots. Now listen with your spirit. When you pray these psalms, you are not begging. You are enforcing. You are standing in agreement with God's eternal decree that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are lifting your shield of faith, declaring to every arrow, you will not pierce me. You will not destroy me. You will return to where you came from. This is the kind of prayer that shakes the heavens and terrifies the enemy. It is not the volume of your voice, but the authority of your faith that causes arrows to recoil. Beloved, the arrows you see in your life, the sudden illness, the unexpected betrayal, the financial storm, the anxiety that rises without reason. These are not random. They are weapons forged in the unseen. But music today you are armed with something greater. Today you have the Psalms, the very breath of God put into words, sharper than any sword, stronger than any shield. When you rise in the morning, declare them. When you lay your head down at night, declare them. When you feel the pressure of unseen attacks, declare them music. Do not let an arrow fly unanswered. Do not allow an attack to go unchallenged. Music, meet every arrow with the word of God and watch it reverse its course. This is not the hour to live in fear. This is not the time to bow to arrows launched against your destiny. This is the hour to rise in faith, to plant your feet firmly in the promises of God, and to declare with boldness, every evil arrow fired against my life shall return to its sender. Every trap laid before me shall capture its maker. Music, every weapon forged against me shall be broken, for God is my shield, my fortress, and my deliverer. And when you declare this, heaven moves. Angels are dispatched, darkness trembles, arrows shatter, and music, your life becomes a living testimony. that no force of evil can stand against the power of a soul anchored in God. There comes a moment when you must no longer sit silently while arrows continue to fly unchecked against your music life. You must learn to stand, to rise, to lift your voice like thunder music and declare the word of God as your defense. Do you think arrows are sent to you because you are weak? No. Arrows are sent because the enemy fears the strength within you, the destiny ahead of you, and the anointing God has placed upon you. Arrows are not aimed at the insignificant. They are aimed at the chosen, the appointed, the ones marked by heaven to shake the earth. The fact that arrows have been fired against you is proof that you carry weight in the unseen world. But the greater truth is this: God has not left you unarmed. Music, He has given you His word, His promises, His psalms, so that every arrow may be shattered, reversed, and returned. Psalm 35 is not a cry of despair, it is a cry of authority. When you speak it, you are invoking God as the mighty warrior. Music, the one who takes up shield and armor on your behalf. The imagery is powerful. God Himself rising to fight for you, to disgrace your enemies, to scatter those who plot against you. The arrows that come against your life meet the divine shield of God and are turned back in shame. Have you ever considered that when you pray this music psalm, you are inviting the very hand of God, music, to lift weapons of war on your behalf? You may feel unarmed, but God is your weapon. You may feel surrounded, music, but God surrounds you more. This psalm teaches you not to fear confrontation in the spirit, but to stand firm, knowing that God fights with a power no adversary can withstand. When we meditate on Psalm 91, music, we see not only protection but positioning. It speaks of dwelling, of abiding, of living under the shadow of the Almighty. Too many want protection without the presence, covering without commitment. But Psalm 91 is a covenant psalm. It calls you to live near God, to make Him your refuge, to anchor your soul in His shelter. Then and only then can you boldly declare that you are safe from the snare, from the pestilence, from the arrow that flies by day. Notice carefully, it does not say there are no arrows. It says the arrow will not touch you. You may see it flying, but you will not feel its sting. You may hear its whistling through the air, but it will not strike you. Why? Because God Himself has become your shield and rampart. That is not poetic language. It is reality. Music. His faithfulness wraps around you as a wall no arrow can penetrate. Music. But Psalm 64 reveals another dimension. God does not only defend you, He retaliates. The psalm says they sharpen their tongues like swords, music, and aim cruel words like deadly arrows. But God will shoot them with His arrows. They will suddenly be struck down. Think of that. Evil may come against you with lies, slander, and gossip. Words may pierce deeper than physical wounds. Music and betrayal may cut sharper than steel. But when you pray this psalm, you call upon God to fire His own arrows, arrows of justice, arrows of truth, arrows of judgment that strike down those who rise against you. This is not about revenge by your hand. It is about justice by God's hand. Evil never goes unanswered. Lies never go unchallenged. When tongues rise against you, God Himself responds, and the very arrows of the wicked return, music, to pierce their own hearts. Psalm 7 takes it even further by revealing a law of divine reversal. The wicked fall into the very pit they dig, and their violence comes back upon their own heads. This psalm is the assurance that evil is self-destructive. Every arrow fired carries within it, music, the curse of return. You must see this with spiritual eyes. Music. When the enemy digs a pit, God has already marked it as the place of their own downfall. When they release arrows against you, they have unknowingly signed the warrant of their own defeat. Psalm 7 reminds you that righteousness is established by God and the wicked cannot outrun the consequences of their own deeds. The one who schemes against you unknowingly schemes against themselves. The one who curses you unknowingly curses themselves. Music. The one who targets you unknowingly marks themselves for destruction. But here lies the wisdom. You must never forget that the Psalms are not just words to be recited. They are decrees to be enforced. When you, music, speak them in faith, you are drawing a line in the Spirit. You are saying, no more arrows in my house, no more arrows in my health, no more arrows in my mind, no more arrows in my destiny. You are standing in your authority as a child of God and declaring that every arrow will not only miss its mark but return to its source. But music, and when you stand with such conviction, the unseen realm responds. Music, angels are released, boundaries are fortified, enemies, music, are scattered, and arrows are reversed. Let me speak directly into your life. Some of you have been wounded by arrows long ago. The words of others have left scars. The betrayals of people you trusted have pierced you deeply. Music, the silent battles in your mind have drained your strength. But I declare to you now, by the authority of God's word, that those arrows will not define you. They will not destroy you. They will not dictate your future. What was meant for your ruin will become the evidence of God's protection and justice in your life. Every arrow that once caused you pain is now a testimony of God's shield around you. You must also understand that returning arrows is not merely about survival, it is about triumph. When arrows return, they not only fail in their mission, but also become instruments of divine justice. The enemy's own weapons become his downfall. This is why you must never fear arrows. Fear paralyzes, but faith empowers. Music. When you live in fear of arrows, you live under the illusion of their power. But when you live in faith, you realize they are powerless against music, God's shield, and destined to rebound in defeat. Arrows are not to be feared. They are opportunities to witness the hand of God. Beloved, let your prayer life be saturated with these psalms. Do not pray them lightly, music, but with fire. Do not recite them casually, but with faith, music. Speak them as one who knows that the unseen world listens and responds. Fill your atmosphere with them until no arrow can find its way near you. Train your children to declare them. Speak them over your home, over your business, over your health, over your destiny. Music. Let these psalms become the pillars of your defense and the weapons of your warfare. For when you wield them, no arrow can destroy you, no plot can succeed against you, and no enemy can stand before the hand of God that fights for you. When you walk away from this moment, I want you to understand something deep, music, something eternal, something that will never leave you. Evil arrows may fly against you, but they are powerless when your trust is in God. They may come from people, from unseen forces, from the enemy of your soul, but they cannot prosper if you stand clothed in faith, declaring the truth of God's word. Life is not about running from battles. It is about standing in the presence of God unshaken, knowing that no weapon formed against you shall prevail. You were not created to be broken, defeated, or enslaved by fear. You were created to walk as a living testimony of God's power, to carry His light into the dark places of this world, and to show through your own life that the arrows of the wicked are nothing compared to the shield of God. Do not leave this word as just another message that passes by. Let it stir you, let it wake you, let it challenge you. From this day forward, every time evil rises against you, do not bow, do not tremble, do not retreat. Instead, lift up the Psalms as your weapon. Call upon God with conviction and let His fire surround you. Music, stand boldly and declare, I am not a victim, I am not defenseless, I am guarded by the living God. This is your call to rise in authority, to pray without fear, and to live with unshakable confidence in the power of God. And so my challenge to you is music this: live each day as though God Himself is your fortress. Do not allow worry, bitterness or fear to define your steps. Let faith be your language. Let prayer be your weapon. And let trust in God be your shield. If you can do this, not only will you repel every arrow meant for your destruction, but you will shine as a testimony to the world that God's power is greater than any evil, and His faithfulness is stronger than any storm. Now go forth, stand music strong, life bold, and never forget, with God on your side, no arrow can ever destroy you. Listen to me carefully. If there is one message you must hear with all the focus of your spirit, it is this: prayers that bind evil spirits are not just empty words. They are weapons forged in the fire of God's authority. They are chains that tie down darkness. They are swords that pierce the very heart of wickedness. And they are shields that protect your destiny from destruction. Too many live in bondage without even realizing it. Too many walk through life carrying invisible chains around their necks. Chains of fear, music, chains of addiction, chains of depression, chains of confusion, chains of unexplainable failure. And they think this is normal. But I tell you, it is not normal. It is the work of evil spirits that whisper in the shadows, seeking to destroy what God has planted inside of you. That is why you must rise. Open your mouth and music pray with the authority that God has given you. Do not be deceived into thinking that evil spirits are powerless illusions. Music, they are real. They lurk in unseen places. They scheme in the darkness. They manipulate thoughts, twist desires, and plant seeds of destruction. But hear me, while they are real, they are not greater than God. They may plot, but they cannot prevail. Music, they may whisper, but they cannot command. Music, they may attempt to bind you, but you carry the authority to bind them first. And that authority is not given by man, not given by traditions, not given by rituals, but by God Himself, who rules above every principality and every power. When you pray, you are not just speaking into the air, you are declaring into the unseen world. Music, your words, when aligned with God's authority, become fire. They become chains. Music, they become decrees that no demon can break. That is why evil spirits fear a praying man, a praying woman, a praying household. Because when you pray with faith, you are not weak. You are unstoppable. You are not a victim. You are a warrior. You are not bound. You are the one who binds. Many of you have felt strange oppression in your life. You try to move forward, but something keeps pulling you back. You try to rise, but a heaviness presses you down. You try to think clearly, music, but confusion clouds your mind. These are not coincidences. They are not accidents. They are signs that evil spirits have sought to influence your path. But today you must decide you will no longer live under their grip. Music. You will no longer accept their interference. You will no longer tolerate their presence, because God has not called you to live in music chains. He has called you to walk in freedom. So how do you bind them? Not by your own strength, not by empty words, but by aligning your spirit with God and speaking with authority. When you pray, you must pray with fire, not with doubt. You must pray with conviction, not with hesitation. You must pray with boldness, not with fear. God has already given you the power to resist the enemy, but resistance requires action. Resistance requires voice. Resistance requires prayer. Pray like this: in the name of the Almighty God, I bind every evil spirit, music that has sought to enter my life. I chain you, I silence you, I strip you of your assignment, and I cast you away from my home, my family, my mind, music, and my destiny. You have no right here. You have no power here. You have no place here. By God's authority, I declare freedom over every area of my life. And when you pray these words, do not whisper them timidly. Speak them with the conviction of someone who knows they are backed by heaven. Evil spirits do not flee from weak prayers. They flee from prayers spoken in authority. Authority comes from knowing who you are in God. Authority comes from believing that when you speak, the unseen world must obey. Let me tell you something. Music, vital, evil spirits look for entry points. They cannot simply invade at will. They look for doors left open, doors of fear, doors of sin, doors of unforgiveness, music, doors of bitterness. And once they find an opening, they plant themselves there. Music feeding on your weakness, amplifying your struggles. That is why part of binding them is also closing every open door. When you pray, do not only command them to leave, also declare that every access point music is sealed by God's power. Pray with boldness. I close every door I have opened to darkness. I shut down every invitation I unknowingly gave. I cut every tie. I break every chain. I cancel every covenant with evil. Music. From this moment on, my life, my body, my mind, my household belong to God alone. You may ask, but how do I know if an evil spirit is working in my life? Look at the patterns. Look at the cycles that repeat. If you see constant defeat music with no logical explanation, if you notice unending confusion, constant accidents, repetitive failures, unnatural fear, uncontrollable anger, both unexplainable heaviness, or temptations that seem impossible to resist, it may be the hand of evil spirits, but do not fear. Recognition is not defeat. Recognition is the first step to victory. Once you see their schemes, you can expose them. And once they are exposed, you can bind them with the authority of prayer. Understand this truth. Evil spirits thrive in silence. Music. They thrive when you ignore them. They thrive when you explain away their work as coincidence. But when you name them, when you expose them, when you command them, their music power crumbles. They cannot withstand the fire of God's authority spoken through your lips. That is why you must never be silent in prayer. Speak, declare, music command. Your voice is a weapon. Your words are chains. Some of you have accepted bondage as if it were normal. You have said, this is just who I am. This is just my weakness. This is just my fate. No, that is a lie planted by darkness. Your identity is not in chains. Your identity is in God. You are not meant to be bound. You are meant to bind. You are not destined for defeat. You are destined for victory. Stop living as if music, evil spirits are stronger than you. They are not. The God who dwells within you is greater than every force of darkness combined. When you rise to pray, know this: every word you speak shakes the foundations of darkness. Every declaration you make echoes in the unseen realm. Every prayer you utter in faith ties down another chain of the enemy. You may not see it with your eyes immediately, but in the spirit, the atmosphere shifts, chains fall, doors open, strongholds crumble. That is the power of prayer. That is why you must never stop praying. And I declare over you today, as you begin to pray these prayers to bind evil spirits, music, you will feel heaviness lift. You will sense clarity return. You will notice cycles, music break. You will rise with new strength, new vision, new courage. Music, God Himself will stand with you. And when He stands with you, no spirit of darkness can remain. So lift your voice. Pray without fear. Pray without hesitation. Pray without doubting. Bind every evil spirit that has sought to hold you back, music, and watch as God releases you into the life of freedom, music, purpose, and destiny He has already prepared for you. When you pray with the authority of God's presence, you are not speaking into the air. You are sending music forth, a command into the unseen world that cannot be ignored. Every spirit that once laughed at your weakness begins to tremble at the sound of your voice, not because of who you are in yourself, but because of the one who stands behind you. Do you realize that the moment you align yourself with God, the same power that separated the light from the darkness, the same power that commanded the seas to part, the same power that silenced kings and raised nations flows through your words? When you pray with faith, you are not pleading with fear. You are enforcing divine law. Evil spirits are not simply discouraged by prayer. They are bound, chained, and cast into silence when God's authority is invoked with conviction. But here lies the secret many overlook. Prayer is not about beautiful words or long speeches. It is about alignment. When your heart aligns with God, music, your voice carries weight in heaven and terror in hell. Evil spirits are experts in deception. They thrive where there is doubt, fear, bitterness, and hidden sin. But the moment you cleanse your heart before God, they lose their grip. The enemy feeds on darkness and music. But when your spirit becomes filled with the light of God's presence, there is no darkness left to feed upon. This is why prayer begins music with surrender, because only in surrender do you receive the strength to bind what once bound you. Think about this. Every chain the enemy places on your life is fastened by lies. Lies that you are not strong enough. Lies that you are not worthy enough. Lies that you cannot escape. Music. But when you pray in the name of God's truth, those lies are shattered. The voice of God drowns out the whispers of the enemy. Prayer does not just silence demons. It exposes them, strips them, and drives them out into the open where they have no hiding place. You must begin to see yourself not as a victim of spiritual warfare, but as a warrior chosen by God to carry His authority. Every time you rise to pray, you step into battle fully armed with divine power. There are spirits of fear that seek to your future. There are spirits of poverty, music that try to keep you in cycles of lack. There are spirits of confusion that cloud your decisions. There are spirits of infirmity, music that attempt to weaken your body. There are spirits of strife that tear apart families and relationships. And there are spirits of despair that whisper, "Give up, there is no hope." But when you stand in prayer before God, you confront each one of them head on, declaring, "You have no place in my life. You have no authority in my family. You have no power over my destiny." And the power of God enforces your words, for God Himself honors the cry of His children who stand in faith. Beloved, the key to binding evil spirits lies in persistence, music. Do not think that a single prayer muttered without faith will scatter legions. Evil spirits test the strength of your conviction. They listen to whether you truly believe the words you speak. But when you rise with boldness day after day, refusing to let go, refusing to back down, refusing to surrender your peace, they cannot resist you. The power of God flowing through consistent prayer builds a wall around your life that no enemy can penetrate. That is why you must become relentless in prayer. When the enemy whispers, "It's not working," you must shout back, "God is working even now." When the darkness deepens, that is the time to pray even louder. When the attack intensifies, that is the moment to push deeper into God's presence. And let me tell you this truth: every evil spirit operates under limitation. They may roar, they may threaten, they may attempt to intimidate, but they are not unlimited. Only God is unlimited. Only God is sovereign. Evil spirits cannot cross a boundary that God establishes. And through prayer, you have the authority to establish those boundaries in your life. You can say, "Thus far and no further." You will not touch my children. You will not touch my health, music. You will not invade my peace. You will not sabotage my destiny. Your prayer becomes the command that heaven enforces and hell fears. But there is more. Prayer not only binds evil spirits, it releases God's angels to work on your behalf. Do you understand that every time you music pray with faith, God dispatches heavenly forces to surround you, to protect you, and to fight for you? When you lift your voice to God, unseen warriors move at His command. Where darkness tries to invade, God's light pierces through. Where evil spirits plot, God's angels scatter them like dust in the wind. Music. This is why you must never see prayer as a ritual, but as a divine weapon that summons the very power of heaven into your earthly situation. Music. So now I call you to awaken. Stop treating prayer like a last resort. Make it your first response. Stop approaching prayer as if you are weak, Approach it, music, as one who carries the authority of God Himself. Stop praying as though the enemy is greater. Music. Pray knowing that God is far above all powers, dominions, music, and spiritual forces. Your words in prayer are not empty. They are divine decrees that shift music, the atmosphere, dismantle strongholds, and crush the head of every serpent that rises against you. Lift your spirit today and declare with authority, by the power of God, I bind every evil spirit of fear. By the power of God, I bind every evil spirit of doubt. By the power of God, I bind every evil spirit of confusion. By the power of God, I bind every evil spirit of sickness, of division, aka of music, despair. You have no hold over me, no hold over my family, no hold over my future. I walk in freedom because God is my strength, my shield, and my deliverer. And music, as you pray these words, believe them. Let them rise from the deepest part of your soul. Let them echo with conviction until heaven bears witness and hell trembles in defeat. For when a child of God prays with faith, the entire spiritual world takes notice. Beloved, hear me in this moment. You are not called to live in chains. You are not called to bow under the weight of fear, music, doubt, or oppression. You are not called to let evil spirits dictate your destiny. You are a child, music created by God, sustained by His power and protected by His hand. The darkness that tried to break you has already been defeated in the presence of the Almighty. The curses that others spoke over you have no authority where God's blessing rests. The spirits that circled music, your life, hoping to destroy you, come tremble because they know the power of prayer rising from your lips is backed, music, by the eternal strength of God Himself. But this is where you must make a decision. Will you live passively, allowing unseen forces to music steal from you in silence? Or will you rise as a warrior of prayer, binding every evil spirit that dares to cross the boundary of God's protection? This is your call to action. Music, take your authority. Do not wait for another day. Do not wait for another season. Begin now. Tonight, tomorrow, every single day, open your mouth, lift your hands, and declare into the unseen realm that you belong to God, that your house belongs to God, that your future belongs to God. Fill your atmosphere with prayer until no demon can breathe in your presence, until no spirit of darkness, music, can find rest near your family, until no power of evil can music touch the territory God has given you. And let your prayers not be timid but bold. Let them not be weak whispers but roaring declarations. Let them not be occasional rituals, music, but the unshakable rhythm of your life. For the person who prays without ceasing becomes unstoppable. The one who stands in constant communion with God cannot be enslaved. When you rise every day and proclaim, God is my shield, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, then no weapon formed against you can prevail. So I challenge you, build your life upon prayer, bind the spirits of fear, of poverty, of sickness, of confusion, of despair. Declare that your household is a fortress of light where only God's presence dwells. Music, let every corner of your being be saturated with His power. And when you walk, walk as one who carries authority. When you speak, speak as one who commands the unseen. When you pray, pray as one whose words shake the very foundations of darkness. Music. This is the moment where you draw the line in the sand. This is the day you decide, music, that evil spirits will no longer toy with your mind, your peace, your health, your family, your destiny. You are not helpless. You are not abandoned. You are not powerless. You are armed with the greatest weapon of all, prayer aligned with the living God. Use it and watch as chains break, doors open, and victories manifest. Go forth now, not as the same person, music, you were before hearing this word, but as one awakened, empowered, and clothed in the authority of God. Lift your spirit, lift your voice, and take your rightful place. Pray without fear. Pray with boldness, pray with faith, and let the world see what happens when a life fully given to God declares with unshakable conviction, music, no evil spirit will have power over me, for God is my protector, my deliverer, and my victory. 3.